How to approach looking for a new job without burning out. This is a topic I have been wanting to talk about for so long because I have gone in the past 11 years, I have gone 3 times through the process of looking for a new job. And I think 2 times, like twice, it was really tiring, especially the second time. And the third time, I finally felt it was better because I was aware of how tiring it can be. And if you've gone through this process over the past few years, if you're going through it now, like I think you know what I'm talking about. Because it's daunting between having to send a lot of CVs, cover letters, so having to look for jobs that actually match what you're looking for, that match the skills you have, so you actually have a chance. Sometimes we don't think we have a chance and it's still good to apply, like you never know. But having to send all of this, sometimes not getting any answers, getting a lot of people telling you, hi, I'm sorry to say that your application was rejected, like a lot of rejection emails. Then if you are like me in an industry, the tech industry, so I am a product manager initially, and so in the tech industry, the recruitment process tends to be pretty long. You usually have to answer a few questions or send a cover letter, and then you will have not necessarily in that order, but you usually have like a phone call or like a video call, which is about like cultural fit and see if you're a good fit for a company. Usually then you have to do some type of async challenge at home, so you have to do a product challenge at home. Though I know this is evolving with the rise of AI, then you usually have some type of live exercise, and then depending on the company, you also have to send references. Sometimes you have to do full days, sometimes you have to do full weeks at the company. Like, it is intense. And especially when you go through the process and then maybe you get no's or you go through the end of the process. Like, I remember one time I went through the process and I got an offer. So that wasn't this recent one. That was the second one, I think, a few years back. So I go through a process, I do all those 5 to 7 phases. I get an offer, and then the next day, I'm being called back because the board of the company actually decided that they wanted to rescind the offer because they were closing down the role. I'm not kidding. Like, this, to be honest, I was kind of like, that's not super respectful, because why didn't you talk about this in your board a while back? But it happens. Then I went almost towards the end with the company, and then they called me. This I can understand better. They called me to say that they actually had to close a branch of product management, and so they were closing the product manager roles. And that I can understand a bit better, because like, if you're making changes that maybe you were thinking about but weren't sure, and then they become official, then it happens. And also, it's kind of out of the end, it was a bigger company, it's out of the hands of the hiring manager I was discussing. And then finally, third time's a charm, going to the end, accepting an offer, things like that. But it can be daunting. Like, it can be really daunting. Like, I've learned to think that until you've actually started, and then there's a trial period. Like, I'm not so worried about the trial period, but still, it's still a trial period. But until you've actually getting started, like, you don't know. And I know some hiring managers will also say sometimes we have people who sign and then they don't show up. I've never seen this personally, never heard about it, but I don't work in HR, so. But going back to our own topic, it can be daunting. It can last for a month. It can be tiring. It can impact how you see yourself, how you see your qualities, yeah. I remember when I went into it this time around, I was like, I am gonna take care of my mental health while I do this. And I was talking about this in another video. What I did is I used discipline, but little steps, small steps, but every day, small steps. The discipline that works for me. So I told myself I would apply to a new role every day. And that's the one thing I would do. Every day, discounting 1 or 2 days during the weekend. And sometimes I would do 2 applications a day. But I decided not to go the route of some people I see now with AI, like really automating and like doing 100 applications a week and then not seeing anyone getting back to them with positive responses and then not understanding. Like, I am not a recruitment expert, but yeah, I don't think that's the best way to do it. If you're an HR expert, if you're in HR, if you're a recruitment expert and you have an opinion, please add it in the comment. I'm sure it would be useful for everyone, me included. But so I took the route more of applying once a day and doing it with the help of AI, but also just making sure I was also customizing my application, my CV to the job post, to the requirements, to the company culture, and then personalizing the answers, the cover letter, like just making sure it sounded like me and it was human and it actually was not too general. It was anchored in my own experiences and I could directly tie my own experiences to what the company was looking for. I think that is very important. And so this was the first step I took to make progress, move forward, but not burn myself out pretty much throughout the process. And then obviously, like, that was harder to do once I started having to do product challenges, I think, prepare for interviews, prepare for live exercises, prepare presentations sometimes. So when I was preparing, there were days where I wasn't sending. I didn't want to let it fall too long because you never know, right? Like, you never know. You don't want to stop sending. When I actually accepted an offer, I was still at the beginning. Like, I just had, when I accepted an offer this time around, I got 2 offers from 2 companies, and so I accepted one of them. But I still had like a couple of process where I was in the beginning, and so I just topped them and said thank you, I accepted an offer. But this shows like I did not know what could happen. Like, I didn't know what could happen with the companies that I really like and I was going until the end with. So I think it's always good to, even if you slow down and even if there are some days you don't do it when you're focused on preparing interviews, product challenges, etc., don't let it completely fall to the wayside, because then you might regret it later on. So that's one thing I did. And then the second thing I did is I really focused on my mindset. So depending on different periods of my life, I follow different coaches. This year, what happened at the beginning of the year is I went through Tony Robbins' free summit. I had gone through it like maybe a few years back. Was it 2022? Something like that. And I did it with my partner, and my partner was like, oh, that was great, like, let's do Unleash Your Power Within. Like, in 2022 I did Unleash Her Power Within, which is one of the program over 8 weeks, and then I did the live event over 4 days, I think it is. Unleash Your Power Within. And since now you can do it live from your place, I did it with my partner in 2022, and this time around he was like, let me sign up for it, I really want to do it, and let's do it together again. So we did the summit, then we did Unleash Your Power Within, and then after that we had access to like a daily program called Personal Power. And so it could have been something different, right? This time around it was Tony Robbins. Sometimes it's different people, like, find what works for you. But that allowed me to consistently to set out a goal for this year, to thought through what were my goals for this year again, to set how I was going to achieve them. What was the first one I was going to focus on? The first one was finding a new job as a product manager or product management consultant. Finding a new job in product management, pretty much, to summarize it. And so that helped because I was continuing to take care of myself, and that's my second advice, right? I was working out every day. I was going on walks. I was seeing friends. I was doing fun things in the weekend, hiking, things like that. And so when I was doing my daily walks and at different times during the day, I could keep working on my mindset and keep learning and keep being reminded of what things I could be doing to feel good, and keeping my energy. One thing we talked about, which Tony Robbins is pretty famous for, is priming. He has like a video on how to do it, but you know, it can also just be pumping yourself up before my chair is moving with me, pumping yourself up before you actually get into an interview and into a call, and just really dancing it out, you know, and putting your energy up, standing up straight, smiling. So I did a lot of things on the side, getting enough sleep, eating well, things like that, that allowed me to keep taking care of my mental, emotional, and physical health. And that really, really helped. And then when I got no's, I also allowed myself to be disappointed. I allowed myself to take a day off if I needed it, to wallow, to be sad, to let all of my emotions out, and then I would get back on the horse pretty much, if that's the right expression. So I think it was another thing as well, instead of pushing through, and when I got rejections, telling myself, I need to keep pushing through, it was more, this sucks, I am really sad, and I need to feel through it, like feel this emotion fully, and I need to move through it, and maybe I need a day or two off to digest it, because it was a job I really wanted. So yeah, and that really helped. And that also really helped because once I accepted my offer, I decided to start only a few days after. And it also helped me, like that mindset also, because it's not done, this is what I was saying earlier, it's also not done once you're hired, right? Like if you're depleted, if you're already scared, you're gonna come into a job being scared that you're gonna lose it during the trial period. So you also want to avoid this. So I think doing this prior also really helped me to come into the job feeling much more relaxed, much more confident, and going in knowing that I knew what I was doing and I had been hired for the right reasons, and there was a reason why I was here. Like everyone, HR, everyone will tell you this when you join, but it's different knowing it and still being scared, being like, could they have made a mistake, things like that. So yeah, in my case, like I'm really happy. I am really happy I found a place that has a really great culture. I am really happy I am enjoying the job, people I'm working with, my manager. So it all worked out for the best. But I think what really helped as well is coming in, not being absolutely scared of not being in the right place and losing it. And because I was not depleted from the recruitment process, I had taken care of myself through the recruitment process, and so I arrived feeling good, feeling confident, feeling a bit scared, obviously, new experience, but feeling up to the challenge, excited and really happy to learn, to grow, to discover a new job, and to fit in a new place. So if you're going through that process right now, and especially if you've been going through it for a month, which luckily wasn't my case, but I know it has been the case for some people, like if you're able, and I'm not gonna pretend to know what I'm talking about here, but I just want to encourage you to take a break if you feel like you need it, because sometimes, even though it's hard, it might be the best thing. I know it's not always easy financially, it's not even always possible, but maybe taking a break is just allowing yourself to take a half afternoon, you know, to take yourself on a date, solo date for a half afternoon, go to the park, get a coffee, and allow your brain to be in the moment, present in the present moment, and relax. Like it can mean different things, but if you're going through the process of looking for a new job, I really encourage you to take care of yourself, because it is so important all of the time, but even more in a process that can be very stressful, daunting, and is definitely taking a lot and asking a lot out of you. It takes a lot of energy. But I hope that's useful. I've been wondering if I should make videos about my experience as a product manager, my experience in product management, my experience as a product management consultant, so my experience in consulting, because I know it can be helpful. So if this was useful to you, if you want to learn more about something specific, please leave a comment, let me know. Subscribe if you want to hear more about my experience, about tips, and just if you want to follow along my journey and just come along for the ride, and yeah, we can support each other, build a community of people who are working towards their dreams and still wanting to enjoy their daily life. And yeah, I'm just super happy that you're here, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.